notice how you can get excited about something in the beginning, but then totally lose steam? You start a new meditation practice, you promise yourself you'll speak more kindly to your partner, or, you commit to exercising. And at first you feel that spark, but then life gets busy, the excitement fades, and suddenly your motivation, it's just gone. Here's the problem. What you do to get motivated isn't what you do to stay motivated. It's like lighting a campfire. You use kindling to get it going, but you need bigger and bigger sticks and finally logs to keep it burning. If you just keep tossing kindling on, the fire fizzles out. But if you toss a log on too soon, like, starting a diet and boot camp all at the same time, you'll smash those tiny embers. So today I'm going to show you what the research says about how to get motivated in the first place, and just as importantly, how to stay motivated over the long haul in all areas of your life, from your personal growth to your relationships. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the podcast. So great to have you here. And I love to talk about motivation. What I will say first and foremost is that motivation is a state, not a trait. People aren't motivated. I'm going to just do that first, get that out of the way. I get asked a lot, like, Abby, how do you stay so motivated? How do you keep doing all the things? I don't always stay motivated. I'm sometimes not motivated at all, because it's any feeling, happiness, anything, it's a state of being, not a trait of being. It's not like my height or my hair color or something else. Although I do change my hair color, don't I? You don't see any gray. If you're watching on YouTube, there's no gray. That's right. I get rid of that. So, but you see where I'm going here. So I'm going to show you it's what I do, it's what I have my clients do, and it is always from the research, which is why it works. So let's do the part one, which is how to get motivated. That's the lighting the spark, okay? And I also want to say this before I go any further. Motivation is a skill. How do you like that? Yes. And like any skill, it's a skill. It takes practice to get good at it. Communication is a skill. Listening is a skill. Kindness is even a skill. Mindfulness is a skill. All these things that I teach on the podcast are skills. And that is why you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. I know that you have not always had access to evidence-based approaches before, and you've, read some book by some influencer or whoever, and or whatever, or you're getting information from 100 different places and it's overwhelming, or you're even maybe getting it from a research person like the amazing Andrew Huberman or something. You're like, oh, listening to like 2 hours on that, or James Clear or something. But then when it comes to actually doing it, it gets overwhelming. It's like, well, what do I do every day? And me, I'm going to give you nitty gritty for every day. So, but again, like any skill, it takes practice to get good at it. And once you have these correct tools, the components, that practice becomes easier. And that's what I'm aiming to do with you today. I'm going to try to distill it down and make it easier. So motivation starts with ignition. If you're sitting on the couch telling yourself you should meditate, or you should be nicer to your partner, or you should eat better, you already know that it's not going to work, because shoulds do not create energy. Think about it. Anything you should do, there's not a creation of energy. It's even just as I say that right now, just do it like, oh, I should whatever. Say it right now. Like, oh, I should eat better. I should have more protein. Do you notice you get enervated? Your energy goes down, not up. You don't feel inspired by it. You don't feel excited by it. And you need a spark that connects to something deeper. Okay. And so there are 3 things to focus on when it comes to getting motivated, to getting the spark. And you don't have to do all 3, but all 3 is great, but at least one of these. All right. Number 1 is you have to connect to some kind of intrinsic meaning. Okay. Got to do it. So there's something called self-determination theory. And self-determination theory shows that when your goals line up with your core needs for autonomy, for competence, for relatedness, for connecting, you're way more likely to act. Okay. Way more likely to act. What you need are really two important things to make that action happen. The first is autonomy, which means like you feel like you're choosing freely, which you don't feel when you're, I should, or because your mother's telling you to lose weight, or someone, or society is telling you should get a degree or something, that's, you don't feel autonomy there. And the second is competence, which you have to feel capable, right? You have to feel capable. Like I could actually do this. You have to feel like there's, this self-efficacy there. So, but without those two, you get into trouble. So instead of saying, I should meditate, you want to connect it to meaning. And I'm trying to do that right now. When I meditate for 5 minutes, I feel calmer and more patient with my kids. How's that? Instead of saying, I should work on my relationship. Try, when I focus on listening to my partner, I feel so much more connected and loved. Do you see that? When I focus on listening, or I should set intention every day. Whenever I set intention, I always notice I pay better attention in my day. And that always, makes me feel more productive and more connected to the people around me. Do you see this? This is how you do it. Now, you also need to make sure that, again, you feel like you can do this thing that you're committed to. And restating in the ways I just said it, right, helps you do that. So if you say, I should start training for a marathon, and no part of you really thinks that's possible, you've got a problem. Or if you've tried multiple times to get sober and have so far not been able to, saying, oh, I really need to stop drinking for good, it's not going to get you there. In both cases, you're not only using kind of a should statement, but you're also thinking you're going to fail anyway. So your internal dialogue is immediately like, oh, I've tried this, 20 times before, and it never works. That's what's happening in your brain. Okay. That's what's going on. You know it. Oh, I've already tried all these diets, or I've already tried all these rehabs or whatever. So by starting with when, you change the game, and your brain starts operating from your prefrontal cortex, right? The thinking part, instead of your amygdala, the fear part. Okay. So this is a little hack right here, a little trick. So how do you do it? How do you do it? You ask yourself, why does this matter to me? And write down 3 answers, and make sure each answer starts with when, right? Like I just did. When I meditate, I blah, 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 right? Make sure, why do you want to meditate? Why do you want to eat better? When I'm eating well, I feel so energized. I feel so proud of myself. I feel in control of my life when I see it, and pick your top 3. Then you want to link each answer to a feeling you actually want. Calm, connection, confidence, right? Joy, something. Don't do the happy thing. Just don't attach it to happy. Happy means nothing to your brain. Your brain doesn't know about happy. And happiness is a state, not a trait too. Comes and goes. And I mean, all of them are. But the problem with happy is like, it's just so, but calm. When I say feel happy, do you even know, like, you picture yourself smiling, probably, I guess. And then what? But if I say calm, can't you actually feel the calm a little? It's like, like your shoulders relax, you exhale, close your eyes maybe. There's a peace. I always want you striving for peace. That's not happy, peace. But you want to use these words like as reminders. You want to say them out loud before you start the task. When I do this, then I feel, kind of thing, right? Connect the feelings, connect it all together. The second thing is you want to create a clear if-then plan. So, and I've talked about this guy before, Peter, and Peter, I apologize if anyone knows this guy. He's at NYU. Gollwitzer? It's like Gollwitzer. I think it's Gollwitzer. I'm assuming he's in my tribe, but who knows? Peter Gollwitzer from NYU, and I hope he's still at NYU. He was at NYU forever. He is one of my favorite researchers when it comes to goal attainment. This guy is a an OG boss in the field. And he's done a lot of research on something called, what's it called? Implementation intentions. Okay. I know that's the if then. I just want to say that it's the fancy way of saying if then. Implementation intentions. So implementing your intentions. His research shows that if then kind of plans are much more effective than vague goals, like leaps and bounds more effective than if you have a vague goal. So, I'll journal more, you know what I mean? Like something like that. Like if that's your thing, I'm trying to think of a good example here. Okay. So instead of, I need to start journaling every morning, try, if it's 7 a.m., then I'll sit with my coffee and write for 5 minutes. Do you see that? Instead of, I'm going to really try to be a better listener. If my partner comes home from work, you could even have a when here, when my partner comes home from work, then I'll stop what I'm doing and ask about their day and ask collaborative questions that Abby has taught me. Do you see that? See how specific it is? See how good it is? And you will do it. Like I've shared before that when Gary or I come home, whatever one of us is doing, and I've been doing this for years, and with my kids, anybody, you stop what you're doing. That's the rule. If you're in the house first, you stop what you're doing and you go to the door. And now it's so automatic, I don't have to think about it. And sometimes I'm cooking, I'm in the middle of something, when I turn off the burner, I pull something off, it's 2 seconds to go to the door. Unless you live in some mega mansion, I do not. It doesn't take me that long to go to the front door. Okay. Now, obviously, I don't know if I was out back in the backyard, I probably wouldn't hear him come in. So I guess it wouldn't count, but you know what I mean? Like get up and say hi. But what happens is and Goldwasser also calls these action triggers when you pair things together. So I know a lot of people who wear their like gym clothes to drop off their kids at school and then go right to the gym, right? That's an action trigger. When I drop the kids off at school, then I go to the gym. It's when, it's a when. Okay. However you want to say the language, it doesn't matter. But what you're doing is you're put these implementation intentions, you're putting them together. So I would say, as far as the how to do it, you want to choose one daily cue. If you have tea or coffee every morning, maybe you always brush your teeth, right? Or every morning or right before bed at night, something, pair it with do that one cue and then pair it with the action you want. And I want you to keep it ridiculously small so you actually do it. Even a minute counts. When I had the amazing Dr. BJ Fogg on the podcast many years ago, he wrote a book called Tiny Habits, which I highly recommend. His research grade, he's affiliated with Stanford, I do believe still. We were talking and he said, yeah, when you get up and you just like you have to go pee when you first get up, right? I think everybody. He said, and he started with doing like wall push-ups because he hadn't worked out for a while. And he was like, I'm going to go pee. And then you're right there in the bathroom. There's probably a wall. And he just would do like 5 wall push-ups. That's it. And then he would go brush his teeth or shower or do whatever else he was doing. Like you start like that. Do you know what I mean? I am talking in a very small way to really get yourself to do the thing. Does that make sense? Okay. So I don't care if you could do 50 push-ups. Don't start with 50. Start with something small and cue them together. You could do that in the middle of the day. If I have lunch, again, I would hope it's when you have lunch, but you know what I mean? I'm going to, as I'm walking to the refrigerator, I'm going to mindfully walk. I mean, that's small, right? Whenever I go to the bathroom today, anytime I get up to go to and I do this, by the way. So whenever I go to the bathroom, and my office, I'm in Berkeley, California, and the bathroom is outside my office. I have to like go through the waiting room and I go out on the deck and there's a bathroom like down, from when you're from back east, these things don't exist because it's cold out, right? So you never have to like leave your office to go outside or something. But here in California, it's so groovy and warm all the time. It doesn't snow. So people have bathrooms outside. Anyway, so and it's not far, but I have to walk to the bathroom a little bit. And I always, it's so cued in now. I've got that I walk mindfully. So I sort of stop and I'm really in my breath. I'm noticing my breathing. And I'm very much like, how am I feeling right now? How am I doing? It's like such a great break. And I'm just going to the bathroom, just walking to the bathroom. It takes, I don't know, 30 seconds to walk over to the bathroom. It's not long. But it's a great little cue in there. Does that make sense? And now I'm building mindfulness in my day. I'm building thoughtfulness in the day. I'm building intention. I'm building these things easily without having to think about it. In the beginning, you have to think about it. But what I would do is in the very beginning, let me just get really nitty gritty for you. I put a little sticky on my door that said, so as I was leaving the office, I had to see it. I put it on the key. I would move it sometimes because there was a key to the bathroom because it's outside. So I would put it to the key. So I couldn't pick up the key without picking up the sticky note that said, walk mindfully. And I don't need the sticky note anymore. I've been doing it for years now. But in the beginning, I needed to remind myself to do it. And then it just became a habit. Every now and then, I think I forget. Maybe, I don't even know. It's not much at all, if it's at all. The third thing is you want to step into an identity. You know, willpower does not get you far, my friend. And you already know this. Otherwise, you'd be as thin as you want or be as kind as you want or have all the money in the world in your savings account. Because if willpower was running, right, if you had tons of it, you know. So you can't count on willpower. But willpower won't get you far, but identity does. When you frame your action as this is the kind of person I am, you really light a deeper flame. And this is what igniting a new habit is all about. So instead of, again, like I should exercise, you shift to, I'm someone who moves every day. I'm just someone who moves. I'm someone who likes to move, even throw that in. I'm someone who, I can never say likes because, we all know I'm a couch potato when I given the choice, but I can say I'm someone who feels so good when I move. So I'm someone who really connects to moving. You know what I mean? Instead of, I should call my friend. Try, I'm someone who nurtures my friendships. I'm someone who loves friendships. I'm someone who thinks about my friendships in a really special way. Do you see that? Your identity, when you do that, again, this is from the research, identity creates consistency. So how do you want to do this? You want to write down one sentence that starts with, I'm the kind of person who, I'm the kind of person who does random acts of kindness. I'm the kind of person who wants to be kind in all my interactions, even something like that. So I'm the kind of person who, and then post it somewhere you'll see it on your mirror, your fridge, your phone background. I don't care, right? Say it to yourself daily until it feels natural. Just keep doing it. I've shared before, I think, that I did this subtly with my kids. Like when I was, I brainwashed my kids, right? That's what we all do with our kids. We brainwash them. We we don't call it that usually, but that's what it is because I have a certain way of thinking in the world. And I want my kids to have that way of thinking in the world. That's what I'm teaching them, right? Yes, I want them to be independent thinkers. Don't come for me. But there's certainly things that were inclusive in my house, right? So yeah, they can have their own thoughts about things later, but they're going to learn inclusion right away. So, and I can remember Max coming home. There was a kid at school who had gotten teased a little bit, and he was telling me about it. And he said, I felt really bad, and he was kind of outside the group, but he saw it happening. And I was like, hey, we're the kind of people who actually intervene. We're the kind of people, we're leaders. I kept saying it to him. I was like, well, you're a leader, Max. So what do leaders do? And, it's the same kind of thing. It's like an identity. You're a leader. And sure enough, when he got on teams and things like that, again, not a boss. I didn't tell him he was in charge of things and should control things and dominate and be bossy. I was teaching him what servant leaders do, right? You're a leader. So he would naturally always get picked for like captain of this or whatever, or, kind of just be a leader, even when he didn't have that role. It's how he was on all of his like baseball teams and things. He just had a quote unquote natural leadership. It wasn't, I mean, to me, it wasn't natural. It's something I cultivated in him. I kept telling him it's who he was. So guess what? That's who he became. And obviously we can do this in horrible ways and we can do this in great ways. And some of you might just think, well, that's not fair. You know, what if Max was a follower and you made him this way and he's uncomfortable? You know, obviously someone who is super introverted, or if I had a child who was really introverted, I still would have hoped that they would think of themselves as a leader, but it would have shown up differently, right? You know, how you act that out in the world can be different. But I think introverted people make amazing leaders. So, because they tend to be so introspective. So, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, you know, there are things, there's ways of being in the world that we always sort of give to our kids or other people anyway. So why not have this for yourself in a positive way? Okay. So that's part one. That's igniting the fire. Now we get to part two, which is how to stay motivated, which is feeding the fire. Okay. So you've lit the spark and now you want to keep the flame alive. And this is where I think most people fall out. This is where if you're going to have a failure, it's usually where it is, because they're trying to reignite over and over instead of fueling the fire. I'm going to say that again. I think the big mistake most people make and why they don't stay motivated is they keep trying to go back to the reignition, okay, to ignite that flame over and over instead of fueling the fire as they go. Staying motivated needs a whole different toolkit than getting motivated. I'm going to say that again. Staying motivated is a different toolkit, right, than getting motivated. So to keep the fire going, I would say to try one or maybe all of these. I'm going to give you 4 research-based tools, okay? And I have a sip of I'm drinking hot chocolate today. Hold on. Hot chocolate is so good. I'm going to highly recommend to everyone that at some point today you get yourself a hot chocolate. Just going to throw that out there. If you don't like hot chocolate, I understand. I don't get it. I'm not sure I respect you anymore, but you know. I was kidding. I know there's people who don't like chocolate. I know you exist. I don't understand you. I think there should be medication for that, but that's okay. Okay. So I'm braced with some hot cocoa. I'm ready to go. Here we go. Number 1 is to celebrate small wins and track progress. Okay. I know. I used to hate doing this. I need to tell you, I was the worst at this. And now I am so much better at this. I'm really proud of myself because at some point when the research shows something over and over and over, and I just keep like, well, I'm just not that kind of person, or I just don't like that. You know, at some point you got to get over yourself and just try it. Just try it already. Just shut up and try it. I say with love, right? So progress is like the oxygen of motivation. And again, so the research shows over and over that small wins release dopamine, which keeps you moving forward. And this applies to everything from working out to working on your relationship. Okay. So how do you do it? You can use a calendar or an app to track even these little tiny steps, right? And I would say the biggie is ending your day by writing down one thing you did well. You know, I asked my partner one open-minded question. I meditated for 2 minutes. I showered. I made a commitment to showering today if that's hard for you, and I showered. And you got to celebrate it, smile, fist pump, share it with a friend. You don't skip the celebration part. This was always the hardest for me because your brain needs that hit of recognition. So you don't need to, again, like dance around the room because you like drank green tea instead of coffee today, but you need to be like, yes, did it. Like that was something I had to overcome. I was loving my coffee and I had green tea and I'm really proud of myself. You know, in my online community, the One Love Collective, which is on Substack now, we post on, it was someone's idea in the community. And it was brilliant. And I apologize. I forget who it was. I feel bad. I should give this person credit all the time, but anyway, he came up with this idea. We call it Wins Day because we're so cute and funny on there. But on that day, members post 2 wins and 1 thing they're working on for that week. And it's a really great practice. So you to help you start recognizing the small wins so you can do this more effortlessly. I'm going to tell you what happened to me and what happens to most people is that it's very hard to identify the wins in the beginning because you're not good at it yet, because a win is only something huge. Oh, I got a promotion, or I lost 10 pounds, or it has to be big to count. And when you do this every week like this, you get so much better at noticing the things as you go, which is the key. That I'm telling you, it's the magic sauce. Okay. The second research-backed thing to do is to build rhythms, not sprints. Okay. Consistency beats intensity every single time. There's research in self-regulation. So self-regulation research shows that routines conserve mental energy and help make habits stick. I mean, that's just what happens. So if you only meditate when you feel like it, you're going to rarely do it. But if you, again, attach it to something you already do, it becomes automatic, right? Do you get it? I just want to make sure you get it. So again, all the research, if you're watching on YouTube, is underneath, and all the underneath the video on YouTube and on my website. There's a really good paper. I went and found it called Self-Regulation, Ego Depletion, and Motivation by Roy Baumeister, who's really famous in this field. It's by actually Roy Baumeister and Kathleen Vose, I think is her name. And so if this is an area of interest for you, I highly recommend reading that paper they wrote. Usually when I link to, I just do the research link, the article I read, but this is the whole paper. So I'm going to link to that for you because I love you so much. All right. So let's talk about how to do it. You want to anchor a new habit to something in your existing routine. Again, do you notice this is something we already talked about? So this is how you get motivation to start and how you keep it going. This is a 2-for-1. This does both. So again, brushing your teeth or making coffee. Again, when, if you have, just for me, when I'm flossing my teeth, I do a little meditation when I'm flossing my teeth. So I'm looking in the mirror, I'm flossing and now I floss like a champ. I didn't floss, I'm going to admit, for many years, or I didn't floss consistently. Every night I floss now. And for me, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm sort of trying to quiet my mind and just sort of looking at myself and bringing myself back to, telling myself I love myself. You didn't do a good job. You're doing the best you can with the resources you have, all kinds of things like that. So I kind of do a little 2-for-1 there. Okay. And I would say in your relationships, it's really helpful if you set rituals. So maybe it's 10 minutes of undistracted conversation every night. Meals with no phones or electronics allowed, a Sunday walk with your partner, something like that. These things are great. Like I told you that Gary and I do when we come home, getting up and greeting at the door. You got to keep it simple so it's sustainable. Don't remember, if you have a little fire burning and you throw a huge log on it, what happens? Goes out. Okay. So you have to you also can't just throw a teeny tiny piece of paper on it to keep it going either, right? Because the embers need more, but you can't get too big too fast. So just be mindful of that. Number 3 is to practice daily mindfulness. You can't go through an episode with me without me mentioning mindfulness. Along with a ton of other benefits that I've talked about in past episodes, the research shows daily mindfulness increases persistence and self-control over time. It helps you notice when your motivation dips and gives you space to choose differently instead of giving up in that moment. I know. I can't say enough about mindfulness. I can't talk about enough. I can't say enough. I can drink more hot chocolate though. Hold on. Okay. So how to do it? Start with one mindful activity a day. Notice your breathing. Eat a meal without distractions. Check your tone before responding in a conversation, right? There's so many ways. Use mindfulness. I try to use it to catch my self-talk. So if you're doing something and your self-talk is, I'll never stick with this, if you're mindful and you notice that, you can say, okay, I'm noticing I'm discouraged. That's a thought. Feelings aren't facts. Thoughts aren't facts. What else can I think right now to help me shift my energy? Do you see? If you're not mindful all day, that's happening, all those negative thoughts. And then, it's 5 o'clock and you're eating a pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. So, you got to catch them. Practice often. 5 minutes daily is better than, I would say, 1 hour once a week. I want to say that. It is so much better. And again, meditation is different than mindfulness. Remember, I've talked about this a million times. Not the same thing. But mindfulness, don't think like you're so much better doing 30 seconds here, a minute there. You're so much better off doing that. So it's just a habit as opposed to trying to sit for a half hour and be mindful or something. You don't need to do that. And if you haven't downloaded my free mindfulness starter kit yet, this is your sign, I guess. I don't know what you're waiting on. I have a really good free download today. That's not even that. So you could download that, and the free download I'll talk about in a minute, and really be a rock star. It's up to you. Okay. The fourth tool, strategy tip is to really lean on your relationships for support. I will tell you, motivation thrives in connection. Accountability and encouragement really keep the fire going. I can't say enough. So how do you do it? Tell someone your plan and ask them to check in. That's the easiest thing. My Rhonda and I, my bestie I talk about, we do this with regularity. It's so easy to do. Join a group or class where others share the same goal. Like when I go to a 12-step meeting still, do I think I need that so I don't shoot heroin later today? No, I do it because it's the support I get from the group, right? It's the support I get from the feeling of being there. And it really keeps me on my goal without me really needing to think about it. It's a great thing. So I'm going to highly encourage you to join my community on Substack if you're looking for a non-judgmental place to get support and encouragement. But there are many other groups or classes you can join from, religion, something at your mosque or church or temple, right? Or a spiritually based organization, to academia, to a book club, to creating your own support group. I mean, there's a million things here, people. Okay. A million. You could also, if you're in your relationship, you could tell your partner exactly what you're working on. Like maybe it's listening more, being more affectionate, practicing patience, and invite them to notice your efforts, right? Ask them for feedback about it. Okay. As long as that's safe, keep a boundary, but you know what I mean? And if you want an easy way to put all of this into practice, I created, because I love you, yes, I do, the free download for today it's like a 1-page guide. I'm calling it the motivation map. It lays out these spark strategies to help you get going, and then the fuel strategies to keep you going. So you'll get like a quick checklist, a progress tracker, and there's a mindfulness starter in there. So you can, again, keep the fire alive without overthinking it. All right. So that's there. And I want to wrap up again. I want to say this for sure. Motivation is not a one-size-fits-all. The tools you use to get started aren't the ones that keep you going, right? But it's not going to be the exact same for everybody, no matter what. So to get motivated, again, you need sparks. Connect to what matters. Create clear if-then plans. Step into the identity you want to embody. To stay motivated, you need fuel, right? Celebrate your progress. Build rhythms, practice mindfulness, lean on your relationships for support. This is how you do it. If you're frustrated that you can't, quote unquote, stay motivated, stop tossing sparks at the fire. You don't need more hype or another big push. You need fuel. You need logs. And once you know the difference, once you really see that today, I'm telling you, you're going to finally feel like your motivation lasts. I don't just mean in your workouts or work projects, but in the daily habits and relationships that really shape your life and bring you joy. And as a last thing, I'm going to say, if this is an area where you think you need more help, if you're like, okay, I love all this, I'm really here, I definitely download the free motivation map today. And as always, I have a therapy to go bundle that goes with today's episode for $10. It's something my online community gets with every single podcast for just $8 a month. So they get 4, depending on how many podcasts there are a month, they're getting 4 to 5 bundles a month for just $8 as opposed to $10 each. But if that feels like too much of a commitment, here's what's in this episode's bundle so you can see if it's something you want to invest in, okay? So, and if you get the bundle, the motivation map, the free download comes in the bundle. So you don't have to get both. You don't have to download both. It's 7 science-backed tools to spark and sustain your drive, right? That's there. The Therapy to Go bundle is, there's a worksheet for aligning your conscious and subconscious. There's an emotional alignment journal. There's a future self visualization and journal, right? Like see the life you're building 6 months from now kind of thing. I took a long time on that one. I'm really proud of it. There's other journaling prompts about what's really stopping you. There's a mini quiz about, so you can identify what your motivation block is. And there's a mind-body anchor exercise where you're pairing your emotion with action, which we know from the research helps boost motivation. So all of that is included in the therapy. I know. Sometimes I do a lot. Yeah. I always try to do a lot for you. I know that for a lot of folks, they can't afford therapy. They can't access therapy, or maybe even buying books is just too much. And this is, so whatever I give you for free will get you there. That's my commitment to you. It has been my commitment for now in my 8th year. And I continue to deliver that, and I will. And if you want to spend some money, you can. You can buy the books or buy the bundles or join the community or do anything else. If you want to just support me, it's a nice way to do that. Always remember, no matter what, that if you're receiving information from me or from any other person who's out there giving you wonderful information that helps your life, you always want to think of a way to give back to them. It does not have to be monetary. Like with me, you could, subscribe to my YouTube channel, leave a comment under a video, leave a review for the podcast. You could, follow me on, I don't know, Instagram or something. Like you don't have to spend a penny to support the people. And I'm sure other people you love and follow, you could do the same things for. But all relationships that are healthy are reciprocal. All. If there's healthy relationships are reciprocal. So if you're only just sitting back and like getting things and demanding things, that's called entitlement. And that doesn't get you very far. You need to feel engaged. You need to have skin in the game. So think of that. Again, don't have to spend a penny, can spend a penny, however you want to do that, but just don't think about sitting back doing nothing, okay? Because I want you to have healthy relationships with me, with everybody. And so there's always a way that they feel like a give and take, hopefully in a beautiful way. All right. That is it for today, my beauties. Love you so, so much. I really am feeling excited about this podcast because I feel like I'm coming at motivation in hopefully a different way than you've heard before. So maybe this will hit in a way, maybe something else hasn't before. And as always, have an amazing week and I will see you real soon.